All right, people, but we have to get into our redemption segment, or was it really that bad? Now, this film it was a bomb at the box office. It lost almost $20 million. It has a 6.4 on IMDb, but I feel like it's because we love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Although you wouldn't know it from previous episodes.
Well, that was one of his first movies, and he played the violin, and it wasn't really.
I'm just saying, we've got to be nice. Arnie's going to come to my door or something.
Well, as long as we're not his maid, I think we'll be okay. Let's. Hey, that's on him. That's on him. Cheating your wife is different than the other one. The other one, I still feel a little bad about. Let me go back to the IMDb pitch for what the tagline of this movie is. Are you ready? With the help of a magic ticket, a young movie fan is transported into the fictional world of his favorite action movie character. Now, who do you think that favorite action movie character is? It is Arnold Schwarzenegger as Jack Slater. What a good early 90s action star name. This movie has everything. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger getting in a fight with himself. His character, Jack Slater, fights the real-life Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have Arnold Schwarzenegger making fun of himself in the fictional movie world. When they go to a movie rental place, there is a Terminator 2 poster that says it's starring Sylvester Stallone in Terminator 2 instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if you remember,
actually, that was right in the middle of it was, you know how you have the Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds bromance thing going on? Well, Arnie and Stallone had one of those as well. They were taking pot shots at each other in movies constantly.
Yeah. Aww. It's funny. Yeah. Actually, what's really funny is when the kid tells Jack Slater, who is Arnold Schwarzenegger's action character in this film that this kid has found himself in thanks to a magic fucking ticket, he says, damn it. He goes, see, Sylvester Stallone wasn't in Terminator 2. And Arnold Schwarzenegger goes, yes, he was. And I believe that was one of his finest performances. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, this really funny. It's also, this is the director of Die Hard that made this movie, and he makes fun of the and Predator, God. Yeah. But he makes fun of the ending of Die Hard, where if you've seen it, Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman. He's dead. He's dead, and then he comes back to life after about 5 minutes of complete stillness, no rigor mortis, and all of a sudden he's back to life at the end of Die Hard. And they make fun of that in this movie. They call that out. They're like, yeah, just like in Die Hard, or even the bad guy, you think he's dead, and then he comes back. So anyway, there's a lot of making fun of themselves, a lot of elbowing each other and winking, and I mean, Arnie got so desperate, he got Sharon Stone to have a cameo as her character, I forget, Dr. Trammell from Basic Instinct, which Arnold Schwarzenegger and her apparently didn't get along on the set of True Romance. True Romance? No.
Basic Instinct.
Basic. No.
No. You're talking about Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Yeah.
But so even though they had bad blood, she did the cameo for him. That's how desperate he was to get his fucking cameos in for this movie. You have MC Hammer as a cameo in this movie. You have
Robert Patrick,
Little Richard. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Okay, I'm rambling now. But anyway, this movie, it's supposed to be good old action fun and a blatant excuse to use ridiculous special effects. That's what the movie really is. How can we use as many ridiculous effects as possible, make fun of action movies while we're filming an action movie? That's basically what it is. Who wants to go first? Was it really that bad? Last Action Hero. By the way, not the Last Action Hero, yeah, just
Last
Action Hero, yeah. As available on, I think, Stars.
This is Arnie at his self-deprecating best. He really fell into his own style in these sort of films, like where he realizes he can take the piss out of himself. And at some point, they moved on to all the action guys just kind of having fun with each other. Did you know they paid to put a movie promotion on a NASA rocket for this?
Yes, I saw that.
They painted the damn thing on the side of the NASA rocket, but it had technical issues and couldn't take off until after the movie had already bombed.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I mean, you guys, this thing came out a week after Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair.
Yeah,
they
picked a really bad time. But I mean, the one thing I did like is they had so much to play with because the nature of the story allowed them to pack every action movie cliche and cameo and reference. I mean, up until a point, it was ahead of its time. The world was not ready for this level of self-satire.
Yeah.
These days, you could really get away. Like Deadpool gets away with it. Great, but they were not ready for this at the time, and I think that was one of the things that kind of worked against it.
Yeah, Deadpool was better because it was an adult as the narrator. It was too bad that it was a kid. It is in hindsight. It's cool that it was a kid because it's like, oh, movies can be whatever I want them to be. But if it was a grown up that was a little perverse, it probably would have been more fun, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, Schwarzenegger as Hamlet though is something you just want to see.
That's what I wrote. I wrote that down. Schwarzenegger as Hamlet.
This thing had me from Hamlet. Like, I laughed out loud several times. I really liked this movie, you guys. I thought it was
to be really or funny. Not to be, not to be,
to be. I mean, when he first pulls the gun out, he's just everyone in Hamlet has swords except for him. He's just shooting them all down.
For no adequately explained reason, he's got an Uzi. It's like.
Yeah, I mean,
and a cigar. He has a cigar, which is a term. I'm sure that's a little bit of a Terminator reference. But yeah, it's a cigar.
There's even really subtle things. They even, like, for one stunt sequence, they got Al Leong, who is one of the greatest fucking movie henchmen of all time. This guy has like 72 acting credits, and I'm willing to bet that over half of them are henchmen. He's in Die Hard. He's in fucking everything that has like a bad guy who has henchmen. This guy turns up, and he's on the car when they come up to, like, just after they've blown up his favorite second cousin's house.
Cousin's house. So funny.
And yeah, one of the guys in the car is Al Long, he's very famous as a henchman. And they got this guy to do a cameo, but like they got the T2 to walk through a scene. Like, there's ridiculous stuff, like a cartoon cat is.
The cat is
voiced by Danny DeVito. Come on.
Yeah.
And he'll be back here tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, that's funny. There are so many.
F. Murray Abraham, who won an Oscar for Amadeus, and they say, this is the guy who killed Mozart.
Yeah.
Killed
Mozart.
Mo's who? Mo? It's like, I don't know who this Mo is. And this is literally the guy who won an Oscar for killing Mozart.
Then they sneak Mozart into the soundtrack constantly whenever he's around.
They did that a lot, apparently. Apparently they teased themes to a bunch of different movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when the cops get blown up and he's up in the tree, and the kid's like, yeah, he survives with minor injuries, but the two cops are dead, and the cop's up in the tree, and he's like, 2 days to retirement. They play one of the riffs from Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, the Lethal Weapon.
The chief. The chief is hilarious.
And it was the black cop. The chief is hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are just so many funny ones. I laughed. I about pissed myself when him and the kid peel out of a parking garage, and Arnold just drives up the one way and then just cuts over a median for no reason at all and causes like a car wreck.
Hey, I've done that in LA.
There are just so many good tropes.
How many cars go upside down in midair and then land on their wheels in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, how many cars explode for no adequately explained reason?
When he drives off when he like dodges something and he drives off the freeway and lands on I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the locations are in jokes.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this movie for me was it was like Cinema Paradiso meets Die Hard. It was like I kind of didn't mind that the kid was the narrator, because it did have that magical kind of endearing quality that like so many early 90s movies had, that are through the eyes of a child. And I don't know, just the whole relationship with him and the projector was really cool. Like, none of it was all super absurd and stupid. So I didn't take any of it. You know, I feel like they weren't trying to be taken seriously at all.
I mean, the list of movie references is amazing. They got Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Terminator, Basic Instinct, The Goonies, E.T. gets a serve. They actually, I think it was 68 officially counted movie references, which makes it one every 2 minutes. In the film,
I liked that the
basically.
Kid. I liked that the kid had a wide range of taste. That he wasn't just he loved movies. He didn't just love action movies. He was referring to like all kinds of movies.
There's also a chicken reference, which I'll count to Rebel Without a Cause. Shout out to a recent episode of ours. My favorite, though, my absolute favorite, is there is a chase sequence where Arnold Schwarzenegger's favorite second cousin gets turned into a bomb and blows the house up. This is the exact sequence that Dave just talked about a second ago, where the two cops are dead and the kid guesses it from the theater. And this is the sequence where the kid is now gonna rub his magic ticket and he's gonna become a part of this movie, basically. And Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots a guy, and somehow the human man that Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots flies into an ice cream truck, and the ice cream truck explodes when the guy hits the ice cream truck. Yes. It doesn't make any sense, and it is unbelievable. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger is driving while looking backwards, firing a gun, and doesn't get in an accident, which they also call out. I mean, it is...
Yeah, it's very self-aware.
It's so funny. Also, shout out to Charles Dance, who is Tywin Lannister. I'm going to say it here and now. I loved Game of Thrones for the first 6 seasons so much. I pretend the last 2 didn't happen. And Tywin Lannister is my favorite character, and that was my favorite performance by Charles Dance.
Until this movie.
He's so great. Charles Dance is so good in this movie as the villain in the actual movie, who finds the ticket and then goes back into the real world, so that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character has to go back into the real world. And then Charles Dance tries to kill the real Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is how that little, confrontation happens between Schwarzenegger and his character. But he apparently was given the role because Alan Rickman turned it down. Because Alan Rickman, again, same director as Die Hard, asked for too much money. I guess he was tired of playing villains in this director's movies. Maybe Alan Rickman just wanted to break out from that a little bit. And so Charles Dance walked around set with a shirt that said, "I am cheaper than Alan Rickman."
That's great.
He has maybe my second favorite line in this movie, which is when he goes back into the real world and he's in Times Square, and this is Times Square pre The Lion King. So this is when Times Square was basically just prostitutes and mobs. And he kills someone and nobody cares. And he says out loud, "I've just killed someone and I did it on purpose." I have just shot someone and I did it on purpose.
And I just to follow up to that, only in New York City would an appropriate response to someone yelling, "I've murdered a man and I want to confess," be, "Hey, shut up down there."
So
but I'll tell you one thing though. When
says the person who decided to move in above Times Square. Please be quiet, sir.
When they did move into the real world, everyone except that character lost me a little. Like I feel like Arnie didn't really translate over too well, and I was watching it and I was like, he's not really selling the, like, finding out he's a fictional character, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it was there, but he wasn't really selling it for me. And I was almost thinking, wow, imagine if they got Bruce Willis to do this.
Oh, interesting.
Because I feel like Bruce has the acting chops to pull that off, whereas Arnie, it was almost there. You just wanted it a little bit more. I feel like it would have been, if he could have just sold it a little better, the whole second half of the film would have worked for me. But it sadly, it just kind of, once they get out of it goes from all this fun and constant gaggery and like it's joke after joke after joke and reference after reference after reference, and then snap, you're out in the real world and suddenly it's a real story, and it's like, oh, I wanted more of the other stuff.
The only really good part, though, I agree with you, but the only really good part about the real world last 25 minutes is when they make a reference to Ingmar Bergman's Seventh Seal and Ian McKellen walks out of the movie
is dead.
As dead. Yeah, that's funny.
I was like, is that Patrick Stewart? Yeah. No, that's not Patrick Stewart. I was like, I need to hear him speak. It's like, what the fuck is Ian McKellen doing in this? How many times has he held something in the shape of a staff in movies?
Ian McKellen probably had a Broadway show at the time, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come do this?"
Honestly. I think he had just done like Richard III came out like this year, right? Like his film version of this. They were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I agree with you though, Dave. If we're being real, I had way more fun in the first part until it actually tried to turn into a story.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really care about the last half.
Yeah, it was doing so well. Yeah, it was doing so well with the satire
in the first half.
And then it just kind of tried to be something else halfway through, and it doesn't.
Which kind of bothered me because
a little.
It's kind of bothered me because I thought they were. I thought that they were going to try to turn the world of movies on its head from the inside.
Mm.
And I feel like they took the low road by coming out and making it like in the real world. Like,
don't get me wrong though. Like when they come out, like it's basically the whole section where he's trying to deal with finding out that he's a fictional character. That's the only part about that I didn't like. I feel like they should have cut that down and kept going, because like the resolve at the end, like where they go to, he gets in a fight with himself and then they bring out the other movie villain and all the rooftop stuff. I loved all of that. It was just that one tiny little section where he's dealing with the fact that he's not real, he's a fictional character. That didn't sell for me. Everything else is great.
A movie with 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and we're like, this one little spot didn't quite sell for me. Well, I think it's like a good redemption. I feel like
this is a great. It's a fun watch, and then it gets.
I don't think it deserves the 38.
Kind of does a thing like where it's like it's holding at a high level, and then it just drops a little bit, and you're like, and then it comes right back again. So like, get through it, and like there's a dip in the middle.
Did you like the funeral scene where the entire family pulls out guns?
Yeah, definitely.
The mob.
Okay, that is about the time that my wife sat down on the couch, and I'd paused it and I hit play, and I'm trying to remember what section it was, but she actually did a full laugh out loud, almost fell off the fucking couch.
That's really
in that sequence.
When the grandma's and he still dodges all the bullets.
There's
like 60
There's
people
so many bullets.
He dodges every one of them.
Do you think what is it about when people they always know how to use elevators and service elevators in these movies. So guns are firing and people are dying, and they get in the elevator, they know exactly which button to push, and the buttons work. Corresponded. I've been in so many just simple, easy elevators with like 3 buttons that did not work. And these guys, like machine guns, helicopter fire is coming in, and this thing closes and goes right to where they need. Yeah, they can end it and leave whenever they want. It's really
just
funny
once.
stuff.
I want him to run in, and there's a guy in the corner peeing. You know? Sorry, I rode the subway a lot. It's
ridiculous.
But like, the other thing I love is like when they're trying to justify. The kid's trying to justify it as a movie, and he's like, "Well, okay, where are the normal people? Like, look at this girl. She's really attractive. Like, it's because this is a movie." He's like, "No, this is California."
Yeah, that one was that is exactly just.
There's not a single normal looking woman. Now, I will say that probably doesn't translate as well to some of our female viewership. They're definitely taking that too far. But having said that, if I'm being completely honest, if you've been to Los Angeles, it does sort of feel that way, where it's like the people in LA, this is not me in my perception. The people in LA have this understanding that you gotta do something. You gotta go for it, and it's satire, and that might turn off. They
were definitely taking a shot at LA itself in that sequence. Yeah.
I will say, everybody. I agree with what you said about the Bruce Willis thing, Dave, but everybody in this movie knew exactly who they were. Like everyone played into the satire really well. Mm-hmm. The guy who plays the main Vivaldi, the main gangster at the beginning, like this movie like opens with a villain's monologue, like with him just like telling him what he's gonna do to him in the beginning.
I love when the actual villain is monologuing and the kid pulls a gun on him. He's like, "You just made the classic villain mistake," and then he proceeds to do exactly the same thing and get caught.
That is true.
I mean, the commentary is good. I don't know. It's hard to talk about a comedy, I guess, without just quoting it incessantly.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
I was really impressed with a lot of this movie.
Yeah,
it impressed me.
Yeah, I was impressed.
I have never seen this before. I have always resisted watching this in the Arnold canon just because it has such a bad grade. Yeah. I am going to give this a 6, maybe 7, and I don't think it deserves 38%.
Yeah,
I'll give it a good 6.
No, I feel like if you went and saw Deadpool and you laughed at Deadpool, you'll probably enjoy this to a lesser extent, but you'll still enjoy it.
Realize how much Arnie was just like trying to have some fun. You know what I
Everyone
mean?
was
And
having
just-
some fun on this movie.
They were just having fun. Don't take it so
But,
seriously. It's
I mean,
fun.
well, the thing that that's what makes it work though. When they're in the film, they're taking it 100% seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean,
they
well,
are,
Satire.
it's like there's gags flying left, right, and center, but everyone's a straight man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And this is on Stars. So
It is on Stars.
I say give it a watch. I think this is a good. We could go on about this as well, but I think this is a good
We don't
place
need
for
to.
everybody
Just
to
give
put
it
it
a
up.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a view.